Yeah. I call myself a media maker, so I guess that's like I dabble in a bunch
Yeah.
of different stuff.
Yeah, I always like call myself a content creator, and so does Shay. And Shay keeps doing that, but like I feel like I say that to people out here, and they just don't understand. So I like dropped it, even though like that's definitely how I feel I am.
Yeah.
It's kind of like just do whatever,
Yeah. I think it's a good idea to not limit yourself. And
That's
I,
true.
I've heard a couple other people say like, oh, don't let people like, forcefully narrow you down a career path. Because especially now, as everything's getting more and more blended, I think it's not as outrageous to be like, oh, I'm a content curator. And it's like, oh, well, that's not being specific. And it's like, well, yeah, it is because all of it's blending together anyway. So.
Yeah, no, especially but like after like when we had like Tanusha's guest in and she like grilled all of us. And then just Lou in general being like, I don't know what to do with you, Mike. It's like you do everything. And it's like, well, just introduce me to everyone. He's like, that's not it. And I'm like, how is that not it? Hey guys, welcome to Mike Check. Don't forget to always keep the conversation alive down in the comment section below. My guest this week, Steve Burke, the
Hello.
wonderful Steve Burke. Steve, I'm very happy you can finally make it on.
Oh, thanks for having me, Mike. This is pretty exciting.
I like your choice of shirt. It's very vibrant, very LA.
Yeah, I knew that there was going to be some sort of filming component of this. I'm like, well, I got to represent my new West Coastiness.
I have to represent the me that's only existed for like 4 months.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's developing, so it needs work.
Oh,
so,
I get it. Like my hair is like the same way. Where like after the second one, everyone back home was like, "Oh my god, keep the hair like that." I'm like, my hair's been like this for like 4 months. Like it's like this is just how it is. This is how it's gonna be now. Like Steve, you're a very interesting man though. You have a lot of history, but you're out here and you want to be a producer basically, specifically in music. But you're okay doing like whatever.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's just specifically music. Music's my biggest passion, and I feel like it's what my soul gravitates to the most. And it's intuitively like if I just ride my instincts, they line up closest with music. But I also really love storytelling, and I think that music and story is just such a crossover already that I would never want to limit myself to just doing music because I also really like writing comedy, and also just like love dramas too. Like I come from a theatrical background, so really theater was my home base. So any type of storytelling or drama or
So happy
wacky creative.
This is exactly what I wanted. So let's dig into that a bit. Like you have a really awesome like upbringing like as like an adult where like you started your own goddamn company, which is awesome. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, definitely. So I'll go back a bit. In high school, I interned at a place called Theater Horizon, and then they hired me as their house manager. And it was really lucky for me because this was like a top dog theater company. They were just starting to beat companies like Walnut Street Theater, other stuff, and they were alumni of my high school. So I was able to be like, I'm in the drama program you guys used to be in, and I interned there. And then eventually they opened a new theater my senior year. And my senior year, I produced a stage adaptation that I wrote of The Great Gatsby. And my goal behind this project was I really loved theater, but I thought that it was only being catered towards a specific audience. And that, everybody loves sitting down and watching a movie. Everyone loves turning on the radio. Like, why is there such a hard time for people in this country right now to get them to sit down in a theater or sit for a musical or something? So I wanted to make a show that I could bring in as many people in the school as possible, and also for the town to make it as accessible as possible. So with Gatsby, we first released like these teaser trailers where it's like the party begins. We made it really mysterious and all these kids were interested. And we brought in like the tech department, the cheerleaders, all these different parts of the school. And we had over 100 kids involved in the production. It went really well and better than I was expecting, actually. Like the formula worked. Like we're like, all right, if we just try to make it a fun atmosphere and kind of lure them in with the party vibe, then we can sync them with the story at the end. And then everyone left like, whoa. And the artistic director of Theater Horizon was like, well, we have this brand new theater that just opened. We want to fill it, and I don't want to just be sitting open in the summer months. So she said, we'll give you the space for free if you can produce something. So that's how the company New Cavern Productions was born. And it originally just started out, we were going to do one musical, but then I was like, well, if I want this musical to be as big as it is, we're going to have to fundraise properly. So to do that, we had to build other concerts and other things in the season to eventually fund up to the musical. And it was a crazy time. The mission statement of the company was New Cavern Productions to integrate the arts into the culture of Philadelphia's youth to create new audiences, new works, and new audiences. Or I think I might have just repeated one of those. It's been a while since I had to.
But it matters. That's how important it is.
Yeah.
It needs repeating.
Yeah. It was a huge learning experience, because like, I did the producing stuff in high school, but like on a smaller scale. And it's different when you have all your friends and everybody around you. But then when stepping out and just like, doing a show in Philadelphia or going around to all these different universities and pitching like, hey, come be aboard our company. Cause that's what it was. We were starting from scratch. So similarly to Gatsby, I was like, all right, let's use kind of like a flashy marketing campaign to lure people in. We did a countdown to the reveal of the company. And when we did that reveal, we had it set with like a promo video, all the details set for our first season, and the catch for artists to get them on board because we didn't have enough money to pay them right away. So we're like, okay, we can bring other producers and other industry professionals into the show. We'll put your resumes up on our website, put your headshots up in the lobby. Even if like you're a set designer, a costume designer, no matter what it is you do, we'll try to connect you to people within the show. And that formula worked. The people who really like, obviously with any type of networking, you have to work for it too. But we brought in some producers and people got jobs from those shows. So that was something that was really cool too, because another whole part of the company, besides from the audience philosophy of it to bring non-theater people into a theater, it was also to give college-age artists a place where they could professionally develop, because you could probably relate to this. A lot of college, it feels like you're in a no man's land.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I'm too talented to be doing stuff for free all the time, but yet I can't get paid work because I'm not in the union or I'm not a graduate or whatever it is.
Any XYZ reason.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I can't afford the equipment on my own, so
Yeah.
I have to like go do this other thing just to get the experience with the equipment.
Yeah. So we wanted to kind of serve that middle ground for college artists. And it was a lot of fun. We did the Who's Tommy as our first musical. We did a fundraising gala to get the money for that, and also did a couple other music and new play events throughout the season. And it learned a lot managing that many people. And I guess going back, I would change things delegation wise. But what made going back to school really useful is I was able to see, all right, in professional experiences, this is what I was lacking, or this is what I focus on. So it kind of made me appreciate going to classes more, because I did take a period of time off while after the first season of the company, because I was deciding, all right, I can't do school and the company at once anymore because the company was growing too much. Like it would just be irresponsible to try to bring on more investors and not have the time to fully put into it.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I'd rather put the company on hold for now, do school. That way, like, I'll have a degree. I can always create another company, but what do I do if the company, like, tanks at one point, which hopefully it wouldn't.
But that's how much respect and reverence you had for not just the company, people involved. It's like you didn't want to be half-assing it, not just for yourself, but also because other people were relying on you for this, because they were doing this out of the good faith of, this is going to connect me with someone. This is going to prove that I am worth what I know I'm worth, so that someone will hire me. And so, like, I think you made the right decision personally, just objectively. It's like, yes, I'm letting you down in the sense of, we're not doing this anymore, or at least for a while. But at the same time, it's better than you like bringing people in and being a failure to them after they invest that kind of time,
Yeah, that's a good point. And that decision was really, really hard, because getting the ball rolling and that momentum was so hard, and really just spent just basically like 2 years of my life just building it to the point where it could be finally accessible. And we, like, after our first season, we got some awards, like we had recognition, we were starting to build our brand, and it would have been a lot easier to go into that second show and be like, hey, see, these people got these awards, you can get that too for your resume. Or even we had more potentials for investors after that first show.
Proof of the model.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Like I could show people numbers. Like, look how much percentage we filled the seats our first season. Philadelphia has not seen these numbers from a startup before. Or like a small theater company.
Yeah.
Is what I mean.
No, sure. Sure. Context.
Yeah. So it was really tough, but ultimately I'm glad I made that decision. And it was also really nice just being able to take some time and just be a normal student again, and not be like.
And you also didn't want to half-ass the student thing too. There's also the other way where they're paying all this money to go to school, but you're spending 80% of your time working on this company. And so, like, are you really like getting anything out of that money you're paying for?
Oh yeah, freshman year in all my classes, I would be on my laptop doing stuff for the company. I was just like, well, I can't put the money into this if I'm not even gonna mentally be there. But I am glad I went back, and I would have never made it to LA if I didn't, eventually stop that company. And it's been an interesting ride.
It's every time I hear the story, it's just like, it's insane to think that like you just did this right out of high school, and like you don't. like you don't come from like some big like media family or anything like that, or theater family. You're just like average guy who likes theater and did like you don't like you didn't have those connections that you didn't make on your own. Like you weren't handed like people or like monetary things like without working for it. It was, which is like the crazy thing to think about.
Oh yeah, it was all built up. But I will say that my mom, although she's a psychologist now, she used to be an actress in her like high schools and 20s, and also
Mhm.
directed high school theater.
Sure.
So it's, and like my dad's a musician for fun, like not
Mhm.
professionally, but he's in
Yeah,
a
but yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like you didn't
yeah.
like it wasn't like you were being trained by people whose profession was to do this, or it wasn't like with Shane where like my uncle is an executive, like so I have that in some capacity. Like you made it yourself. You had the influence, but you made it all for yourself,
Mhm.
which is like super impressive compared to a lot of people at that age.
Oh, thanks.
And still like having the forethought to people like I should go to school still and I should still do this, because like even a lot of people who like that would just get wrapped up in it and be like, well, I'm already doing it, why would I go to school? Like I'm just gonna keep doing it.
The past couple of years has been a whole different wave of all sorts of media stuff.
Mhm.
But that's been fun because like I feel like that's what your college years are for, to kind of just kind of figure out different industries and see what you're best at or what draws you the most.
In a way, you're almost like learning from the enemy. You're like, all right, how do we bring theater into this now? Like this is what's killing theater. It's like
That's totally a lot of my approach with media stuff, or not even with theater. I just think that live entertainment in general, whatever the medium may be, I think that there's something really powerful about bringing a group of like live human hearts together. As corny as that may sound,
no, that's yeah.
and I think like just something that can get us out of our homes to go participate in something socially is really healthy, especially as like tech stuff is becoming more and more. And I also think that, when you have those moments where an artist, whether it be someone delivering a monologue or a song, and they really connect with the audience, like that's a different level that you can't experience in any type of digital media. So the reason I keep always going back to that is because I feel like it's the most powerful art form, but I also feel like it's the one that needs the most support, and I don't want to see it swallowed by all these digital things. And I think live entertainment could be very good for the soul, and it'd be a shame to see that filter away.
I feel like we need to make like an ASPCA like commercial for theater. Say music like just like sad theater kids in the back, like, in the eyes of so like that.
That's
That'll
pretty
get it
funny.
done. Anyway, though, you have a topic.
Yeah, yeah. So something I've been thinking about, which I thought could be fun to spin out here,
Spit
is
away.
yeah. So I'm looking for some sort of a music industry job right now, and really, I'm looking for any job I can get. Honestly, I'm
Just
not.
looking to
I'm
get
not.
paid.
I'm not being picky. But I've enjoyed exploring more of that sector, and I think for like my producing eventually, I would like to learn more about that business, so it'd be valuable to get a job there. Um, but I was talking with some other industry folk, and they were asking like, how do we get people to really engage with albums anymore? Since
Mm.
obviously vinyl and physical content is going away, and people don't just put in a CD and have it go from start to end anymore.
Mm.
And this has been a problem people have been talking about for years. It's very apparent. But what I've been thinking about is that there's lots of ways right now, even as just like college students, if we wanted to make an album more interactive, we could. And I think that streaming services like Apple Music and Spotify could start to introduce some content that goes along with the actual album. So that way you're not just clicking on a track and then it's going straight through. Cause then it's much easier for like, your ADD to kick in and be like, "Ah, I'm ready for the next song," which I do too. Like I would like to listen to a lot more albums full through, but I'd be like, "Oh, I'll go to this next song I know." But if there could be something on that page to keep you there, I think it'd be much more engaging. So whether that be some sort of AR or VR experience with it, or maybe it's just having more like, having interactive content with the lyrics or pictures, behind the scenes stuff that you can kind of dive into while you're listening to it. It's not its own separate thing. It lives within the actual piece. I think that could be an interesting way to see if you get higher duration of people listening through the whole album, because there's more incentive for them too.
Yeah, that's a really good discussion. Like, so I like a lot of those ideas. One of the biggest things like I'm always like is like more visual content for that stuff, not only because like it's more engaging, but also because like it gives more work to like other people, like in other parts of the media industry. The biggest problem is the fact that they lose so much on like the album as it is, and like they're just doing it for the tour, that it's like, can they really sink that much money into like making an AR experience with this record? Can they sink that much money into making like 4 music videos instead of 1 music video? Like I always feel like that's like the biggest hindrance to it. My one thing I thought about recently is that like, and the biggest problem with doing this is the fact that like the way that like the I don't know who I don't this is like my lack of music knowledge. I don't know who controls like how you get a platinum record. Like I know how you get it, but I don't know like who like what group is in charge of that like in the industry. But like it's all based around like these rules about like an album has to have this requirement, this requirement, that requirement. And I feel like people are so stressed about making full albums. Like honestly, I think the best thing would be like releasing like almost like mini albums, like 4 songs, and that's it. Like 4 songs. You don't even have to tour after that, but like just releasing them in smaller chunks, because then you can put more focus and pressure into like those songs and that music, and that's like, and like I feel like you get through an album, right? You get through like 8-song album, and like you're like 2 or 3 of these songs feel like they're not done or they're not like great. They're just kind of here anyway. And I feel like that's what really detracts from it, is like you don't have the artist focusing on the things they actually care about, because you're adhering to making the full album to get the full tour and stuff like that. But I think we just need to redefine what the meaning of the music is, whether it's like smaller releases or making more experience. One thing for me is that, like, I love albums that tell a complete story, that like the songs are connected in some way, whether it's by thematics or by like visuals, or I remember like when Fall Out Boy came back, like their whole album was connected. Like literally the first song is like a reference to every other song in the album, and same with the music videos, like all the music videos are connected. And I don't know if there's like a correct answer. I think people just need to like stop adhering to like the norms, right? I think it's about like exploring the music, because like what ends up happening is like the music that you're proud of is what's going to make it, you know?
Yeah, I think you're right that a lot of people could maybe target for a smaller release, like just do EPs and stuff. And I also agree with you that when an album or whatever you want to call it is just like a complete story or just like a complete piece, you can see it has some sort of concept or some kind of unifying theme that ties the songs together. I think that's really just taking like the listening experience and the songwriting to another level when you can have that kind of consistency in storytelling throughout a piece of music. And I think that, like, from a consumer perspective, if you can properly advertise that greater package to be had, if you really dive into the full thing, then there could be a lot more profit to be had. And by making it a little bit more immersive and a little bit more media centric, I think, like, you also expand that world. And, if it can go on YouTube and other things, that also opens up new, like, streaming revenue if it gets really popular. I mean, it's really hard with that stuff because you have to get really significant numbers. But I think that what record companies should start to do, if they want to, like you said, like, how do we get the money to do this? Because they're already struggling. Like, how do we want to do 1 music video or 4 music videos? But I think you could pull a lot of money out of traditional marketing campaigns, like billboard ads, bus stop stuff, regular internet targeting stuff, and then just make actual guerrilla styled campaigns from either the artist accounts or around their fans, have them drive the marketing stuff, and then use the big budget to create that immersive content. Because I feel like the heavy social media stuff is drawing in more traffic than any type of, TV ad or anything else that you would do. So that might be one solution to kind of allocate that. But I haven't worked on any projects with crap tons of money.
Yeah.
So it's easy for me to say just like, just, shuffle this around and try producing this and you'll have more engagement. But that's easy to say when you don't actually have all those moving pieces in front of you.
And at the same time, it's like, do they like at the same time, like you get why they don't want to like try stuff, because it's like, oh, well, we know we're going to get at least, like, we know even if it bottoms out, we're getting like a 50%, like I'm just throwing numbers out, 50% return on what we put in. But it's like, we don't know what happens if it bottoms out if we throw that money in this direction. We can just not get any of the money back. And then it's like, we just lost all that money. So we'd rather just like lose 50% than like lose like 30%. Another thing is I think like maybe like thinking more about like what the concert experience is going to be when you're developing the music. Cause like for me, it's like the real thing to get my money is like, get me to go to your concert. But like, I don't want to just hear you play. I want a fucking show. Like I want an experience when I see you perform. So it's like I think what a lot of artists should do is think about like what is this what does this feel like when we're performing it live? I feel like they think too much about like how it sounds or how it looks when it's presented as the album, but I think they need to think more about what it sounds or feels like presented when they do it live more. Because like obviously a lot of bands are nowhere near as good as when they are live, but they don't even have to be. They just need to be like they just need to figure out what the feel and what the tone of it is, I think more.
Yeah, and I think you're right to say that because there are songs you can tell are like engineered or written for stadiums, like stadium anthems and such, and that can really drive a whole tour, and drives more fans to you, more coverage, just like a bunch of stuff. And I think you can see groups that have done that and think about their live acts while they're in the album stages are much more successful. Like for example, Coldplay, you could totally hear on some of their albums, like, oh, this is going to open the stadium tour. Like the first track I had, Full of Dreams, their album from 2 years ago. Like I remember the first time I heard that, I'm like, that's going to open a stadium concert. And then sure enough, went to the show and it like pulsed through the whole stadium. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a good choice. People are really afraid of risk in every industry,
Yeah.
I guess. You're talking about possibly losing dollars. But I think right now, especially for where we are in the music industry, we're at a huge curving point, and a bunch of labels are going to miss out if they don't step it up and take those risks. It's either you're going to start slowly dying or you're going to jump on board and be the king of a new streaming era and whatever the rest of that looks like.
No, for sure, especially because like even what we're doing right now, like all of this, like 15 years ago, everything we have in front of us right now that we're recording this podcast with, like not financially accessible to like most people at our level. But like regular people can just start recording music. Great, it's not going to sound as good as like the $10,000 studio, but it's going to sound good enough where like you can present it to people, you can make money off of it, you can get a contract with it. And that's what it always is. It's the people that are going to take risks are the people that have the least amount to lose and everything to gain. And now that those people are able to actually dive into this market that before it was like super like high level ceiling to get into if you're trying to be a producer or you're trying to get into like marketing and stuff like that. Now that they can get in at the lower and like have that less, I mean, obviously risking your livelihood in any manner is a huge risk, but compared to like these companies that have like shareholders and like more dollars to risk, they're going to be the ones that are going to like push it forward. And then the labels are going to have to choose whether they're going to get on board or try to fight it.
And they've already made some major missteps the past 20 years, like whenever it comes to change, like for example, with iTunes. Apple originally sent out their initial projections. We're expecting to sell this amount of downloaded music by the end of the year. The record labels laughed, and they ended up smashing that by a huge amount, like way past their goal. And then the record labels were like, oh, crap. And then they held on streaming for a long time, and then they're like, all right, we'll jump on board. And what's encouraging is we're actually now starting to finally see some profit gains from that. And like Apple Music had one of its most profitable years in a while in 2017, and that was due to the growth in streaming.
I mean, have you heard of a great group called Tidal?
The app Tidal?
Yeah. That was
Tell me more.
Oh, well, it's Illuminati cult of rich people. Jesus Christ, fucking Tidal. Well, anyway, Steve, one of the things I really like about you as a person, besides your very huge wealth of knowledge, is what you demonstrated here. Is that you're very articulate, and you also are able to like argue your points really well. So what I want to discuss a little bit is about like civil discourse right now in America, which is a conversation we've had on our own, but I really enjoy having with you because I feel like there's this huge disconnect with people right now where no one just wants to have a conversation, which is why our main reason we have this podcast now is that I want people to just sit down with other people and just have a conversation, just be open, talk about what you think. And don't necessarily be like defensive, protective about it, and be open and be like vulnerable to the conversation itself. And so like, I remember for people that don't know this, because why would you be spying on us and know about our lives in this manner? But like we came home the one night and we just like were in your room for like 2 hours, me and you and Anthony, just having like a really civil conversation about politics in the country. But we were having like you as like leaning more liberal, me as a libertarian, Anthony being like, I don't give a fuck about anyone out here at all. Like 3 different viewpoints, but we were having like constructive conversations, and I felt like I hadn't had that in a very long time.
It's nice, isn't it?
It's so nice. Yeah. Because no one was like trying to like convert anyone. They were just trying to like make understandable viewpoints. and they weren't trying to like belittle anyone else's, and it made me feel really good. So what I want to talk to you about is how like you feel the current climate is when it comes to being able to like just have civil discourse.
I think it's a huge problem in this country and probably around the world, but I'll just focus on where we know for
Yeah,
right
because
now.
that's what we can relate to.
It's kind of scary almost because I think that Trump's election is because of it. And I think that, we can't blame Trump alone for all this stuff that's going on. Americans have lost their ability to put things in context and have perspective. And I think that perspective is just one of the most vital things humans need, regardless of what you're doing. Because if you put a little perspective on it, you can see, all right, I can understand why this guy in this town may feel that his like industry is being abandoned, and this guy is coming out saying he's going to take out Washington. Like,
Yeah.
if you put on hats of different areas, or let's say I'm a really religious conservative, religious freedom is the most important to me. I'm a pro-life person, and I really believe this certain thing. So if this candidate's promoting that one thing, like, just understanding why.
It's not,
And
it's gray. It's not black and white.
Yeah, everything is gray, and everybody's reasons for liking something or an opinion is going to be very gray. And we're now at the point where you can't get 3 seconds into a conversation without putting a whole guard of whatever your opinions are, all your different philosophies, and you can't let any information in. We've just gotten so lazy that we don't look at how the information is being presented to us. We don't process like, all right, what are the X, Y's, and Z that made this conclusion of what I'm reading or what I'm thinking,
Or what they're thinking.
Oh yeah, or what they're thinking, and it's really it's really a problem. Like, I can't stress that enough, and I think that we have to actively work to start bridging these gaps. And I think that's by having conversations. That's by really having patience with each other, and like, I don't think the late night hosts are helping at all. And I think a lot of the media is like, I'm tired of listening to jokes about a lot of this stuff too. It's like, all right, we know Trump's an idiot. We know that, or in my opinion, you're welcome to think otherwise.
Yes.
But I feel like in recent years, the Republican Party has thrown away a lot of basic values that I would expect any American institution to have. Not saying the Democrats are perfect either, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Yes. One does not equal the other. Just
Yes.
because Hillary, quote unquote, would not have been any better does not mean they get a pass for what they are doing.
So I think we really need to strive as a nation to be like, hey, listen to the conversations we're having on the news. Listen to just kind of the general climate of how people feel with their general patriotism. And also realize, like, not to get too dramatic, but a lot of people have put their life on the line for this country, for our right to vote, for our ability to be in this amazing country that we're really privileged to be in, with the best military in the world and all these other amazing things. Like, our country is fucking great. I feel like we really have to start realizing, all right, what do we have, and, kind of rediscover a love for a country. That way we can start defending it, and also together be like, all right, this is a melting pot. That's the point. How do we start reaching across that aisle? And
It's objectively good. We're just mishandling it, is what I think what you're trying to get at. Like, objectively, everything we have is great, but there are people who are misusing it for negative things.
Yeah, and obviously, like, there's so many problems in the country, like, that goes without saying.
Yeah.
But looking at where you are or other places, the rest of the world, I think that there's so much more opportunity to growth.
My biggest issue is that, like, it's such a team mentality right now, and not just between like Democrats and Republicans, but I feel like in any discussion, like gun owners, non-gun owners, pro-life, not pro-life, like, there's no partisanship going on. There's no bipartisan going on anywhere. It's just that people don't want to like come together. They think they're demonizing the quote-unquote enemy when no one's the enemy. Like for example, because like this is the hot topic right now of gun control, it is like, yes, there are people that want to take your guns. Those are not most people. Yes, there are people who want to own all the guns. Those are most people. Most people in either side, either camp of the gun restriction versus the non-gun restriction, just want the same thing. They just want the kids to be safe. But the people on the gun restriction side can't see that the people who want the guns don't want the guns because they want the kids to be shot. They want the guns because they think the guns are actually a solution. But they don't want to take the time to like think about that in the same way that like they don't want to think about how the people who want to restrict the amount of guns that are sold and stuff like that. They don't want to think about how they want to take their guns because they'll keep the kids safe. They want to take the guns because they want to infringe on their rights. And it's like they're too obsessed with how it affects them that they don't think about how they're getting to the same outcome, because everyone wants the same outcome in the end. Like that's how all these issues work. Like pro-life and not pro-life, they want the same outcome. They want people to be able to live healthy and full lives. It's just the idea of how you do that and how you go about that and what constitutes life. They don't want to think about what abortion means to the people who are pro-choice, and the people who are pro-choice don't want to think about what life means to the other people on the other side, or the extremists at least. And those are the people that seem to be making the decision. They're corralling everyone in, and they're making us fight instead of actually having a civil discourse.
Yeah, it's really the decision makers and the other organizations that have money involved. They're generating this discourse, and it's been going on for years and years. And I feel like we've just hit a boiling point, which is why it's gotten so bad. And like, I think the gun debate is a great example in this, in that most people, if you really get down to the cores of it, they do want the same things. And there is a solution where it's like responsible gun owners, you still get your gun. People wanting background checks and more, tighter control. There's solutions that exist where both those people are happy in a common sense world where it makes sense. But there's been so much just bullshit that's been pushed to both sides that now that's what they believe, and it's heightened everything. And, a democracy is supposed to be a bunch of different consenting opinions, and then you form a consensus.
Yeah.
But if no one's willing to ever dissent to the other side, then it almost makes it breaks it, essentially.
Because no one's supposed to, the point of compromise is no one gets what they want. You get the best things from both sides.
Exactly. And I would love to see like a piece of legislation where a bunch of Democrats are like, you know what, we don't usually do this, but I think this is a good bill. I'm going to join the Republicans with this. Like, or the vice versa. Like, well, this does make sense to have this simple background check. I'm a Republican, but I'll vote for it because it makes sense. Like there's, like you said, the team mentality is killing it, and that's tied to money, ego, and a bunch of other things.
Yeah,
and
there's so many things, but I think, even the average person, even like obviously the people at the top have a lot more influence in them, but even the average person doesn't want to like just sit down and just stop to think. Like during the election cycle, when we were into the point where it's like it's Hillary or it's Trump, I remember reading an open letter that was from I can't remember the specific, but some kid that was from a middle of nowhere town, and he was basically arguing, it's like, why I'm going to vote for Trump. And like explains, like, my family's been out of work. I can't go to college to get an education because the fucking coal mine shut down. We don't have money. Everyone in my town's going to shit. Like, we have to vote for Trump. We don't have a choice because Hillary isn't gonna provide us anything. Like, you tell us to get jobs and to study some of that, but like, we literally can't. This is our last ditch effort, is to hope this man will do what he's saying he's doing. And people need to understand that, like, while you can say, oh, it was obviously bullshit. Oh, it obviously won't help you in the long run. Like, people can make these claims, but you have to understand that from their perspective, sometimes there's only one option. Like, and sometimes you need to respect the fact that they are doing what, like everyone's always trying to claim that they are doing what's best for everyone. But there's nothing wrong with being a little selfish, because at the end of the day, you need to survive if you're even going to be able to help others. Like, what's the point of helping others if you're not going to be around next week to keep helping them,
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that 100%. And like, a lot of my own family members were Trump voters. So like I was kind of forced to have to rationalize that. And I think it's really important.
Your family isn't bad people.
No, of course not. Obviously disagreed with why they voted, and I argued them on it too.
I have a big family, trust me, it got very bad.
Yeah. But I don't think they were stupid for making the decision, and I understand why they did it. And I think that the case of like that family is a great example. Like, what other choice do they have? And I could see that being appealing, being like, well, might as well shake it up.
Yeah. It's like, at the end of the day, if we could just have a conversation to understand why everyone believes in these different strategies, we'd be able to pick out why each of these strategies work and put it all together. It really isn't that hard. What's hard is the emotional investment that people seem to put into non-tangible things like parties or beliefs, or even like as someone that like isn't super religious but comes from a religious family and understands the importance and the value of religion in society. But even the faith people put into religion too much is like too far at times. I just think it's the fact that no one wants to just concede for a moment. Not concede their stance, not concede the high ground, but just like for a moment, concede to the person they're talking to, their neighbor, their friend, their coworker, and just listen from an unbiased point of view to take in the information.
And you're like, I don't want any more celebrities or any.
Yeah, no.
Just
I want qualified individuals. I mean, celebrities can say what they want. I'm not saying that, but like, we need qualified people who know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Except for I'll vote for The Rock. I'll vote for The Rock for anything. Because he'll pick a good running mate who'll actually run the country because he's The Rock. The Rock. Did you hear? Do you want to hear the tagline I came up with?
What?
So it's The Rock 2020 # Rock the Vote. That's the campaign.
That's really
and then
good.
he picks Mark Rubio. Mark Cuban.
Yes.
He picks Mark Cuban to be his running mate, and then Mark Cuban is the one that runs the country, which is like he's the money and The Rock is the face, and then
It would be better than what we have now. So
I mean, I hope I think it'd be an interesting combination between the two. I don't know. The Rock is like literally an American like dream story. I feel like like he came from nothing, he got everything, he lost everything, and then he rose from the ashes to gain even higher like position, and then uses his power to like advocate for people now because he lost it all and knows like what that's like.
Yeah, he's an amazing person.
Because a lot of technical stuff has gone on. Thank you, Shane. Thank you. And we're not gonna have much time left. I had a game, but I had a backup. I always have a backup game in case the main game flops. Main game's gonna be too much. I'll be back sometime maybe, and we'll do a full game.
Yeah.
This is really simple. We're gonna play some Mad Libs.
Mad Libs, okay.
Yeah, everyone loves Mad Libs.
All right.
I literally went on their website today, and it's like it's like the world's favorite game, and I'm like, that's a lie, but like, cool that you got that trademark.
Yeah.
So we're gonna play some Mad, like nothing better to boil down from political discourse and like civil discourse. This is a good game of Mad Libs, you know. Right. So I need a verb.
Sparking.
All right. Give me an adjective.
Beautiful.
Give me a noun. Plural noun. Sorry.
Geese.
Give me another adjective.
Deceptive.
Give me a verb ending in ing.
Batting.
Give me another verb.
Slicing.
Give me a number.
4.
Put 3. I'm an idiot. Give me an adjective.
Shiny.
Give me a noun plural. I need 3 actually.
Okay. Dogs. Idiots. Camel.
Camels.
The camels, yeah.
Camel. No, it's camel, Mike. It's like moose. I thought the plural word of moose was moosin'. Moose in the woodsin', and the woods in the eats in the eats in the wood and the moose in the relative plural noun. Or sorry, relative plural.
Relative plural? What does that even mean?
I guess it means a relative. But like
of what? My last
I guess like aunts, uncles, sisters, brothers. I don't know. I'm taking a guess
uncles.
Here. Uncles.
Yeah.
Adjective.
Shitty.
Another adjective.
Dirty.
I'm feeling a lot of our last conversation carrying over into these. Last one, a noun plural.
Birds.
This is titled The Walmart Difference. Come sparking. Wow, was that I just did. Come sparking at Walmart, where you'll receive beautiful discounts on all of your favorite brand name geese. All your favorite brand name geese. Our deceptive and batting associates are there to slicing you 4 hours a day. Here you will find shiny prices on the dogs you need, idiots for your mom, camels for the kids, and all the latest electronics for the uncles. So come on down to your shitty, dirty Walmart where the birds come first.
That worked out for the Eagles at the end there. That's pretty awesome.
I love how Mad Libs just always work out in the end. That's the best part. It's like
I really liked that I could go to Walmart and find an idiot for my mom too.
Idiots for your mom. We've all been there. No. What? Who?
Wow, I'm more intrigued to go shop at Walmart than I have in a long time. So I think this worked.
You're really selling it to me, Mad Libs. Well, guys, that's gonna be it for this episode of Mic Check. Guys, as always, keep the conversation alive. The comment section below. Because Kane Shammer died, I'm going to run around and turn this camera back to Steve so he can sign you out. Steve, tell the people where they can find you.
Guys, you can find me by shooting me an email at sburke95@icloud.com. I also have a website just for like contact purposes, stevenfburke.com. So, if you know of anyone who's hiring, I'm searching through the employee world. And thanks for having me on, Mike. This was a lot of fun.
Social media you want to plug? Where they can follow you? Anything?
Yeah, if you want to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, or any of that fun stuff, Snapchat, although I I post things every once in a while.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
okay
why
with.
not? If you want to connect on the digital worlds, it's sburke95, SBURKE 95, and the little at thing before that. You know what to do, internet folk. We're in 2018. We don't need to explain
I don't
this.
think we need, if you're watching a video podcast on YouTube, I think you understand how this works.
It's called a handle, but thanks for thanks for listening,
Don't
everybody.
Later, guys.
Cheers.
Here's something real embarrassing.
Oh, is that what you did? Was that you? Were you that
The
guy?
first time I went to Sammy,
Oh,
I started
no.
doing like dance moves from GTA.
No!
Here.
I'm coming.
Two hits. Oh, someone else in the field shooting at me.
Where is he?
He's right here on the right. I got him.